My name is Sztencel. I am a Polish-born artist living and working in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. I am one of the artists in the joint art residencies in 2020 at the Artists Alliance and Residency Unlimited. I am a social practice artist, which means I work closely with my immigrant community in New York City. I create projects that explore a sense of displacement and longing. My work focuses on the experience of being an immigrant and the imprinted memory of landscape. There was a strong community response to my work in New York, but in 2018 I was invited to a residency with 18th Street Art Center in Santa Monica and moved to Los Angeles for a year. During this residency, in the beginning I wanted to create a community project, just like I've been doing it back in Greenpoint. But the dynamics of life in LA are much different than New York. There was no Polish neighborhood. It was harder to connect socially. If I was going to engage with my art concept, I would have to reevaluate my thinking. Alone in California, I watched Polish soap operas. Unlike movies or books, the stories happen in real time. The holiday episodes air during the holidays. The scenery of the programs always reflect the current season, and the day-to-day details give me a picture of contemporary Poland that I couldn't get from conversations with my family on the phone. It was my window to the landscape I was longing for. Were other immigrants having the same experience when watching programs from their own countries? I found out yes. Many of them found the same feeling. And even though many denied watching, they almost always followed by saying, "But my mom does," or "My grandma does." So I started rewatching the series and carefully studying the landscapes. I was taking screenshots and painting them. In November 2020, I began my residency here at Artists Alliance and Residency Unlimited. I was dwelling for a while on the experience of 2020 and how many people are living the immigrant experience in their own country through quarantine, experiencing displacement, longing, and separation. I wondered again, are people watching Netflix in the search of some sense of their old lives? Here in the AAI studio, the pandemic inspired me to revisit the project from 2018. But this time I widened my search for screenshots to media from many countries. I wanted to include everyone's experience, not only Polish immigrants. I began making small sketches in watercolors before painting it in oil. This wasn't something I had tried before, but I was trying to capture the metaphysical qualities of the landscape, and the softness of the watercolors portrayed the dreaminess I had been looking for. It has been a challenge to attempt the aesthetics of watercolors on paper using oil paints on canvas. To attempt to capture it as closely as possible, I've been using a glazing technique used by the old Renaissance masters. It uses many semi-transparent layers to accentuate colors and utilize the whiteness of the gesso background instead of the white paint to portray the highlights. Of course, there are modifications to the technique to suit my individual needs, but I am trying to remain as truthful as possible to the process. It is also important to keep the landmarks of the media in my representation. So I paint in the cursor arrows, the embossed pause symbol, or the volume meter. It adds a drawing-like layer on top of a dreaming landscape. It is similar to what we feel when we watch the world from the computer screen. And sometimes I also paint a black border on the top and the bottom of the landscape to preserve the cinematic feeling of the original media. This studio time has been very productive. I am grateful for the space and support from Residency Unlimited and Artists Alliance to make art during the pandemic. In the madness, I am re-examining myself and my art on a deeper level. Thank you for your interest in my work. You are welcome to learn more about me and my projects on my website www.asiasztencel.com.